There is a man who walks into a storm and remains unshaken. While the winds howl and others scatter, he walks steady, his eyes focused, his pace unwavering. What gives this man his calm? It is not luck, nor is it magic. It is the result of one thing only: the mastery of self. You may chase wealth, fame, or influence, but if you do not learn to command your own thoughts, emotions, and reactions, you are no better than a ship without a rudder. The storms of life will toss you left and right, and you will call it fate. But understand this: calm is not something that happens to a person. Calm is something a person becomes. And you become it by deciding every day to rule over yourself before you try to rule over anything else. You were not born with peace, and you were not born with panic. Both are learned. Both are fed. And what you feed will grow. If you let the world train your mind, it will teach you to fear. It will teach you to doubt. It will teach you to react instead of respond. But if you seize control of your mind, you will teach yourself to rise above the noise. You will train yourself to stay cool when others overheat. You will become the master when others remain slaves to circumstance. The calm man is not calm because his life is easy. He is calm because he has practiced silence when he wanted to shout, restraint when he wanted to explode, and patience when he wanted to rush. He has made it his mission to dominate the inner world, knowing that only then can he shape the outer one. He has understood a simple truth: a man who cannot master himself will forever be mastered by something else, be it fear, anger, failure, or the opinions of others. Self-mastery begins with awareness. You must become an observer of your own mind. Watch your thoughts as they come. Do not wrestle them. Do not chase them. Observe them. Why did you react that way? What belief triggered that emotion? The man who studies his thoughts without judgment sharpens the sword of control. He learns where his peace is being stolen, and he begins the work of reclaiming it. But observation is not enough. You must discipline your mind as a general disciplines his army. Thoughts of weakness, fear, impatience, jealousy, these are invaders. You do not entertain them. You command them to leave. You train your mind to focus only on what serves you, only on what builds, only on what leads to power, to purpose, to calm. This is no small task. But remember, anything you cannot control controls you. And if you do not control your thoughts, they will shape your reality into a life you did not choose. Self-mastery is not a destination. It is a daily battle. But each day you win, your mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. And when your mind is an ally, you cannot be shaken. The world can burn around you, and you will still speak with clarity. Problems will mount, and you will still act with precision. Why? Because you are no longer living by reaction. You are living by design. You are no longer moved by noise. You are moved by vision. And that vision gives you peace because it comes from within. The person who masters himself is free, free from the pull of chaos, free from the manipulation of fear, free from the grip of petty emotion. And in that freedom, there is calm. The world may never give you peace, but if you master yourself, you will never need it to. There will come a moment in your life when everything seems to go wrong. The phone rings with bad news. The deal falls through. The person you trusted disappoints you. In that moment, you will be tempted to lose control, to lash out, to panic. But I tell you now, if you do, you hand over your power. The person who reacts gives away control. The person who decides commands it. Calm is not found in meditation rooms or mountaintop retreats. It is not a gift some people are born with, while others are denied it. Calm is a deliberate choice, a decision made in the heat of adversity to remain unmoved. You must stop waiting for peaceful circumstances to feel peaceful. That is the habit of the weak. The strong create calm within themselves, no matter the circumstance. They do not wait for the storm to pass. They become the storm's master. You have been told that your emotions are automatic, that your reactions are natural. That is a lie. You are not a creature of instinct. You are a being of choice. The difference between a leader and a victim is not talent. It is not luck. It is decision. The leader decides how to feel. He decides what to believe. He decides how to act. And above all, he decides to remain calm, because he knows calmness is strength under control. No one can make you angry. No one can make you afraid. They may try, they may press your buttons, but you choose whether or not to let those buttons exist. You choose whether or not to respond in weakness or in power. And this choice, when made with consistency, transforms your entire life. It removes the chaos from your spirit. It removes the noise from your mind. It allows you to act while others react. And in that stillness, you gain the upper hand in every arena of life. The man who reacts has already lost. He has handed his emotions to the world and asked it to decide for him how to feel. He is a puppet. But the man who decides has power no one can take. When problems arise, he does not crumble. When people provoke, he does not bite. He sees the bigger picture. He remembers his vision. He holds his center. It is not easy to choose calm when everything around you is screaming for chaos, but that is precisely when the decision matters most. Anyone can be peaceful when life is simple, but true strength is forged in fire. Calm is tested in conflict. When you feel the pressure building, that is your moment of opportunity. That is the split second where leaders are made. You can react like the masses, or you can pause, breathe, and decide to hold your peace. That decision separates the powerful from the pitiful. And let me tell you something else. When you decide to remain calm, you become dangerous. You cannot be manipulated. You cannot be provoked. People will not know how to handle you because you are no longer playing their game. You are not ruled by impulse, but by intention. You are not driven by emotion, but by mission. And that mission gives you clarity. It gives you control. It gives you the ability to stay steady while others lose their footing. Every day of your life will present moments of choice. The world will test you, not to break you, but to see if you've trained yourself to decide rather than react. Choose calm, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are becoming. Because the person who chooses calm in the face of crisis is the person who eventually commands the outcome. You are not ruled by the world. You are ruled by what you think about the world. And until you understand that truth, you will live like a prisoner in a cage built by your own mind. Every emotion you feel, anger, joy, fear, peace, begins not in your environment, but in your thoughts. What you choose to dwell on shapes the world you experience. The mind is the workshop of your soul, and the tools you use within it will either build you or break you. You cannot afford to think casually. You cannot afford to allow any thought to pass through your mind unchecked. Thoughts are seeds, and every seed produces fruit. A single fearful thought, if nurtured, grows into anxiety. A single bitter thought grows into resentment. But a single thought of courage, of purpose, of strength, if held, will begin to transform your entire emotional landscape. You are not at the mercy of your moods. You are the master of the soil where those moods take root. Every day, you are offered thousands of thoughts. They come from the media, from conversations, from past experiences. But none of them have power unless you give them permission to stay. You must become the gatekeeper of your mind. Do not allow any thought to enter unless it serves your mission. Do not give residence to any idea that does not strengthen your resolve. Thoughts are guests. Some build the house, others burn it down. The calm person is not someone with fewer problems. He is someone who has trained his mind to see differently. When others see threat, he sees opportunity. When others see loss, he sees preparation. His emotions are not dictated by the moment, but by the meaning he assigns to it. He knows that thought precedes feeling, and therefore he holds his mind as sacred ground. He chooses his thoughts the way a king chooses his advisors. Only those that offer clarity, strength, and direction are allowed to speak. You are not calm. It is not because the world is chaotic. It is because your thoughts are chaotic. You have not taken hold of them. You have allowed them to run like wild horses through your mind, tearing up the landscape, breaking down your peace. But you can reclaim order. You can harness those thoughts. You can guide them with intention. And when you do, you will find that your emotions shift like the winds responding to the command of a new captain. Your mind is the command center of your life. Guard it with discipline. Every thought that enters is either a builder or a destroyer. If you think thoughts of power, you will feel powerful. If you think thoughts of peace, you will feel peace. But if you allow fear, doubt, jealousy, and worry to dominate, do not be surprised when your emotions reflect the storm. The wise man knows that to change how he feels, he must first change what he allows himself to think. You do not need more time, more money, more validation to feel better. You need better thoughts. Better thoughts create better emotions, and better emotions create better decisions. This is the chain of power. Break it at the thought and you break everything that follows. Master it at the thought and you command your destiny. So start with the mind. Start with the thoughts you rehearse. Write down what you think about most and ask yourself, is this building me? If the answer is no, replace it. Plant new thoughts with care and consistency, and soon the emotional storm will quiet, the anxiety will retreat, the calm will rise, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Because you now know the truth. Emotions are not causes. They are effects. And the cause is always thought. The man who bows to emotion has already surrendered his future. The man who applies discipline over emotion, however, becomes the architect of his destiny. You were not placed on this earth to be tossed around by every mood, setback, or frustration. You were born with the ability to rule yourself. And until you do, emotions are real, yes, but they are not reliable. They shift like sand pulled by winds of circumstance. One minute you are motivated, the next you are doubting everything you ever wanted. One moment you are calm, the next you're gripped by anger. You cannot build a powerful life on the foundation of a mood. The person who builds on emotion builds a house of straw. The first storm will destroy it. But the person who builds with discipline builds with stone. And no storm, no failure, no betrayal can shake it. Discipline is the invisible hand that separates the weak from the powerful. It says, I will not be ruled by how I feel. I will be ruled by what I have decided. It is the power to keep walking when fear begs you to stop. It is the strength to stay silent when anger demands a reaction. It is the wisdom to hold steady when uncertainty rattles every bone in your body. Emotion screams. Discipline whispers. And the whisper, though quieter, always leads to victory. Every great man in history has had to overcome himself before he could overcome the world. He had to learn the art of internal warfare, to conquer the lazy voice within, the emotional sabotage, the constant temptation to quit, to react, to retreat. This battle is never over. It begins the moment you rise in the morning and continues until your head hits the pillow. But those who fight it and win it walk through life with an inner strength that no one can give and no one can take. You must understand this. Calm is not a personality trait. It is a trained response. It is the result of repeated decisions to choose discipline over outburst, principle over pressure, mission over mood. When life gets hard, and it will, your feelings will try to take the wheel. But your feelings do not know where you are going. Only your purpose does. And so, when your emotions rise up to distract you, delay you, or deceive you, it is your responsibility to bring them into submission through the power of discipline. There will be moments when everything inside you tells you to fight, to scream, to run, to give up. That is the moment to breathe. That is the moment to pause. That is the moment to remember that your emotions are not your master. They are merely messengers. Listen to them, but do not let them lead you. They were never designed to drive the vehicle, only to inform it. Let your vision take the wheel. Let your discipline hold the steering, and let your emotions take a back seat where they belong. Do not confuse discipline with repression. You are not ignoring how you feel. You are simply choosing not to be controlled by how you feel. You are not a robot, but neither are you a slave. You feel it, you face it, and then you decide what to do with it. That is power. That is freedom. Your emotions are loud. Your discipline must be louder. When panic knocks, discipline answers. When fear whispers lies, discipline speaks truth. When doubt clouds your path, discipline lights the way. Over time, your emotions will begin to respect your authority. They will stop resisting and start aligning, because they will know you no longer follow your feelings, you follow your decision. And the decision is calm, focus, strength. That is the life of a disciplined man. That is the foundation of peace. And that is the only way to rise above the noise and lead a life of unshakable calm. A man without purpose is a man at the mercy of every fear, every failure, every doubt. He wakes up and drifts. He reacts instead of creates. He panics when obstacles arise because he has no compass to guide him through the storm. But the man with purpose is different. He walks with certainty. He sees clearly. He may feel the pressure of life, but he is never crushed by it because his purpose gives him power. Panic is the result of internal confusion. It is what happens when the mind has no direction and the soul has no anchor. When you do not know where you are going, every little problem becomes a threat. Every delay becomes a crisis. Every rejection feels like the end. But when you are driven by a definite purpose, you see problems for what they are, part of the path. You understand that struggle is not a stop sign. It is proof that you're moving. And that understanding silences panic. Purpose is more than a goal. It is more than ambition. It is a reason to act when everything in you wants to give up. It is a force that steadies your hand and calms your mind. It is a filter that helps you decide what matters and what doesn't. When you live with purpose, you stop wasting energy on things that do not align with your mission. You stop chasing approval. You stop fearing failure because you realize something. Your mission is greater than your mood. The man of purpose does not have less chaos around him. He has more clarity within him. His peace is not circumstantial. It is intentional. It comes from knowing who he is and why he does what he does. He is not perfect, but he is focused. And that focus gives him strength. While others are distracted by gossip, delay, and doubt, he continues. While others are panicking over what might go wrong, he is working toward what will go right. He does not waste his mind on the meaningless. He is too busy building. There is no panic in a mind that knows its mission. Panic cannot exist in the presence of a powerful purpose. They are not compatible. One says, "What if I fail?" The other says, "Even if I do, I will keep going." One says, "This is too much." The other says, "This is necessary." One hides, the other leads. The moment you truly decide what you are here to do, the noise of the world begins to fade. And in that silence, calmness takes root. Do not misunderstand. Having a purpose does not remove difficulty. It removes the fear of difficulty. It replaces hesitation with conviction. It turns anxiety into action, because now you are not acting from emotion, you are acting from principle, from identity, from something unshakable. Purpose becomes your foundation, and a man with a firm foundation does not panic when the winds blow. He plants his feet, squares his shoulders, and presses forward. Most people live in survival mode because they have not discovered or committed to a purpose. They are always waiting, always reacting, always afraid. But that is not your path. Your path is to decide with absolute clarity what you are becoming and to pursue it with everything you have. In doing so, you will rise above the petty concerns that dominate the lives of those who wander. You will no longer be controlled by the opinions of others or the randomness of events. You will be grounded. You will be certain. And in that certainty, there's calm. So if you want to eliminate panic from your life, stop trying to feel better and start building something that matters. Set your sights on something greater than comfort. Attach your life to a purpose worth suffering for. Because when the mission is big enough, the fears become small. And when the why is strong enough, the storm becomes irrelevant.